YouTube has decided to not share my videos with everyone who subscribes. Please follow me on social media to stay up to date. So an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie is in pre-production, begins shooting in 2019, question mark. Because this kind of stuff always just has a damn question mark next to it. This all popped up after the Solo world premiere the other day, and it's a big thing. So it says here, the Obi-Wan movie has yet to be officially announced by Lucasfilm or Disney, but it appears that the project is currently in the early stages of pre-production at Pinewood Studios in England, as well as Industrial Light and Magic. A new report has revealed that the movie will remain in pre-production while the filming of Star Wars 9 takes place this summer, and will go into filming in the spring of 2019. There is quite a bit of excitement for the Obi-Wan movie, which is a stark contrast to the announcement of Solo: A Star Wars Story, which was met with a divisive response from fans. I'm going to be realistic here. The Obi-Wan kind of met with the same kind of response. Met with a collective, oh. I mean, that'd be cool. Do we need it? Do you need it? Like, that's kind of the way I took it, right? Now, not to say that I'm not excited for this. I'm 100% on board if it's done in terms of like Obi-Wan, the Western. But this is kind of where we find ourselves looking at Lucasfilm and going like, oh, you bitches are out of ideas, right? Like, you are out of ideas. You only had a little bit to play with there. You done killed the EU. Now you're scrambling to keep those billion-dollar blockbusters coming in, because that's ultimately where we're kind of finding ourselves right here. Don't get me wrong. As much as people have, as the idea of the Solo movie has kind of been viewed as a dumpster fire by people, I've been critical of it, but at the same time, I am wholly excited to see it next week. I understand what they're up to. They already have said Solo was going to be a trilogy, right? I called Solo being a trilogy months ago, before we even learned that Alden Ehrenreich was signed to 3 pictures, right? Before Ron Howard is talking about a potential Solo sequel. Like, I already called this months ago, because it makes sense in that particular regard. The same idea kind of applies here to Obi-Wan, because we've heard rumors before about it being not just 1 movie, but 3 movies, an Obi-Wan trilogy of what happened to him in between dropping off Luke at Owen and Uncle Beru's place, and Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, and then reappearing 19 years later, old and decrepit, and going like, Sand people aren't that accurate. 9/11 would beg to differ. But it says here that that's a horrible joke. I apologize. It says here, it's been previously reported that the Obi-Wan movie was going to begin production in January of 2019 with an aim for a 2020 release date. However, a new report suggests that filming will begin in the spring instead. Additionally, the project already has prop modelers, concept artists, storyboard artists, and more already working. According to the report, everything is running smoothly, even though a director or cast has yet to be confirmed. It does say here that director Stephen Daldry was attached to the Obi-Wan movie since late last year, and it's thought that he'd been working on the story since then. As previously noted, neither Lucasfilm or Disney has yet to officially announce that the movie's even happening. So again, this is all rumor and speculation, which is fine. This is a lot of what goes into discussing movies on the internet. It's all rumors and speculations. However, that has not stopped the speculation from spreading. Star Wars fans are eager to see who will be placed in the titular role, and many are hoping that Ewan McGregor will reprise his role from the prequels. Now, he has said he doesn't know anything about the Star Wars universe, but has expressed interest in coming back as Obi-Wan, and it seems it would be a big deal for him if that's the case, and I do think so. I do think that would be a big deal if he comes back. I think he's the only one who could come back. Keep in mind, the last movie was 2005. It's now 2018. It's been 13 years since the movie released, which means it's been 14 years since they wrapped production on it. So he's a lot older now. I mean, at this point, he's literally age-wise from when he dropped him off to when we saw Luke. He is like 19 years older. I mean, he's coming up on it. He's got 5 years to go until Luke, or a couple years to go until Luke is of age that we met him on the deserts of Tatooine in 1977. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, so, obviously, obviously there's a bit of an age gap there. But he, in terms of like the progression of the character, in terms of the progression of everything, this is kind of where we find ourselves right now. This is kind of where we find ourselves and looking at this. Isn't it funny to think about like that? Like to think, oh yeah, Luke was like 19 years old 1819 in Star Wars, and you know, here it is from when he was, you know, an infant to now, and it's been roughly about the same amount of time in terms of years, only a few years away it feels like. And by the time this movie would even come out, if they're shooting it in spring of 2019 for probably a Memorial Day release for 2020, then you're looking at 15 years between the releases, between seeing him on screen. So it is interesting to me. But I would argue that it's probably going to happen. It is probably going to happen, and it does make sense as to why. People love Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor still wants to play the role. He had Fargo, which did well for his career, but he's not doing much else. Trainspotting 2 was a bit of a flop, and an Obi-Wan movie would definitely gross $1 billion. If done well, if done as a Western and open up for a trilogy, yeah, it obviously would gross this kind of money. And this is kind of, again, where Lucasfilm is right now if you just look to see what's going on, right? So we know that Episode 9 is going to wrap up the Skywalker saga, although many could argue that Episode 8 already did that. I'm not harping on it. I did that last night. But look at Rian Johnson, right? Johnson is doing a trilogy. We don't know of what yet, right? With new original characters that he's in no rushed time frame to ever get done. So let's hope for never. But then you got the Game of Thrones guys that are working on a series of films, right? On a series of films. And these guys are coming in and they're going to be doing it that way. So it goes to show you that it's entirely possible, what Lucas, at least I should say in my opinion, Lucasfilm is obviously wanting to create trilogies. They understand that everything works better in threes. They get it. And even though looking at Star Wars like Rogue One, that it was a standalone film, it still was like a side story that tied into A New Hope, still tied into a trilogy. It does make sense as to them going this particular route. I don't think we're going to see many standalone films because it doesn't make a lot of sense to do standalone films. If they're approaching Star Wars like you would see in maybe a Marvel series, it makes sense to kind of have these characters all doing their own thing. Now, let's think of it like this. Just kind of pure speculation before closing out this particular story, right? We know right now that Han Solo takes place before A New Hope, right? We know that old Obi-Wan is alive, right? Right around that same time. We know there's going to be a trilogy of films, and it's entirely possible that Obi-Wan might appear. You know, they might retcon that for Solo. Now, you know, he could sit there and wipe Han Solo's mind or something, and so the tie into the meeting in Mos Eisley. I just, that's a dumb thing. In my mind it sounded kind of cool, and then I'm like, no, wait, that would be the same thing with like the droids at the end of Revenge of the Sith. It was like, oh, C-3PO and R2-D2, yeah, just memory wipe them and send them on their way as kind of like wrapping up a plot hole. You know, they could do something like that. Or he could not know that it's him, or he could be running side, or he could meet Lando Calrissian or something because Lando never met him. You know, I don't know what's going to happen with this, but if they give us the movie, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think it's going to be pretty grand, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with it. But at this point, I'm just waiting for an official announcement. Who knows when the hell that's going to be? Probably. And I'm, probably like the Tuesday after Memorial Day, when the numbers come in for Solo and they see how much money they're made and how much money they're going to be projected to make for the film, as they'll probably start announcing more items coming out, because we're going to start seeing as many Star Wars movies per year probably as Marvel. You know what I mean? 2-3 movies. It just feels like this is where the franchise is going. And look, I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, oh God, no. But if done right, then it can work. It just requires there to be a shepherd leading the flock, and that shepherd is not Kennedy, and we can again revisit that entire rant on another day.